Hi, warm greetings to all of you. Welcome back to BION, the channel that shares knowledge on holistic self-development through great books. Do you believe that the life we are experiencing is actually a game? The author James Carse says that in this world, there are at least two kinds of games: finite games and infinite games. Most people are caught up in the finite game, while only a very small number play the infinite game. So, what exactly is a finite game, and what is an infinite game? Today, we will explore this topic through the book Finite and Infinite Games *, written by the American philosopher and religious scholar James Carse, another well-known author, who wrote Out of Control once remarked that this book completely changed his perspective on life, the universe, and everything else. The book itself isn't very long, but reading and truly understanding it is not easy at all. The author uses many abstract expressions, and the writing style is deeply philosophical. It requires us to reflect and analyze, layer by layer, to grasp the meaning hidden within each sentence. I've read it several times, and yet I still feel there are many parts I haven't fully understood. The fascinating thing is that, while thinking, certain ideas from the book suddenly pop up in my mind, making me ask myself, am I playing the finite game right now, or the infinite game? The author does not try to construct a strict logical system to give you a definitive answer. Instead, he shares a flow of thoughts from a broader, higher perspective thoughts that can stimulate your own reflection on your lifestyle and values. Eventually, you will find your own answer. Am I living in a finite game or an infinite game? And which one do I choose? That is exactly why I want to share this book with you. Even if you only grasp a part of it, single section, or even just one sentence that alone can still have a long-lasting impact on you. And that surely makes it a book worth reading. This book may inspire you to adopt a whole new attitude toward life, and also a new understanding of the meaning of existence. The ultimate question is, do we play to win or do we play to continue the game? What exactly is a finite game? To put it simply, all finite games are played with the ultimate purpose of winning. In the end, there must be a specific, tangible result to achieve, a title to be claimed. A finite game has a clear, defined ending. It concludes the moment you receive recognition from others for your victory. By stark contrast, an infinite game has no fixed destination. Its purpose is not to win, but to continue the play endlessly. In this kind of expansive game, continuous growth and the accumulation of new experiences become the true meaning of participation. Instead of fixating on a finish line, players learn to enjoy every single step, constantly exploring new possibilities and creating a richer, more fulfilling life for themselves. In recent years, the saying "life is meant to be experienced" has gained significant popularity, often shared as a form of comfort and healing during difficult times. At first glance, words like these seem to lighten the heavy burden of existence. But if that's the case, why do so many people still find themselves suffering? Why are they perpetually chasing after something, always striving to achieve the next big thing? The core reason is that we are still living our lives exclusively within the confines of finite games. We don't truly live in alignment with the wisdom we claim to understand. This profound conflict between our perception and our actions becomes the very root of our greatest and most persistent suffering. We profess to crave the destination of freedom, yet we willingly trap ourselves in one finite game after another. We complete one game only to immediately enter the next, forgetting that, beyond this cycle of competition, there exists a vast, infinite game waiting to be played. For a clear example, think about the end of each year. The question, "What have I accomplished this year?" often begins to haunt people, stirring up feelings of anxiety, disappointment, and deep regret. Why does this happen? It is because people view the end of the year like the final whistle of a round in a finite game. The year concludes, yet so many things remain unfinished. so many goals are left unachieved. In that moment of perceived failure, we then try to comfort ourselves. There's still time. Next year, I'll try even harder. This cyclical pattern temporarily soothes our present worries, but ultimately traps us in an endless chain of goals. Strive, achieve, and then hope and strive all over again. In the world of finite games, death is unequivocally seen as failure, because death means the absolute end of play. That is why the players in these games wish to live longer, and why most people harbor a deep-seated fear of death. In fact, players in finite games are desperately trying to maintain a form of immortality by hoping their names will be remembered long after they are gone, that their achievements will last through the ages, and that their wealth, property, and power can be passed down to future generations. But according to the author of Asterisk, Finite and Infinite Games Asterisk, this very pursuit of immortality is, in itself, a kind of forgetfulness. It is the forgetting that we voluntarily chose to play a finite game in the first place. How can anyone possibly achieve a state of immortality within a frame that is, by its very definition, finite? This stands as the greatest and most tragic contradiction of the finite game. And so, people engrossed in finite games inevitably fall into a tragic paradox. They are living a life that isn't truly being lived. What does this actually mean? To put it simply, it means we cannot really and truly enjoy the experience of life, because we are far too busy worrying about the mechanics of survival. We constantly want more time, a longer life, but in the process of chasing longevity, we lose the very experience of living itself. There is another crucial reason why finite players are condemned to suffer. Once they win and claim the coveted title, the game is over. They are forced to exit the game, but this exit rarely, if ever, brings the lasting fulfillment they had anticipated. It's a state akin to being alive, yet already dead, a strange and hollow state of dying before one's actual death. They continue to breathe and exist physically, but the meaning of their life is already concluded with the end of the game. Take the powerful example of an elite athlete whose sole and all-consuming goal is to win an Olympic gold medal. Every single day, they train relentlessly, sacrificing their time, energy, and personal life for that one ultimate prize. Once they finally win and the medal is placed around their neck, their game ends, and very soon after that moment of triumph, they often fall into a profound emptiness, because there is no longer a goal to pursue, no higher mountain to climb. Or consider someone who sets a life goal of earning $10 billion within 5 years. They throw themselves completely into their work, investing every ounce of their strength and intellect into business strategies and market maneuvers. When they finally achieve that $10 billion mark, their game, too, comes to an end. At that precise moment of victory, instead of the true fulfillment they expected, what they most often feel is a disorienting sense of emptiness. If they still have the energy and ability, they will almost certainly enter another finite game, chasing after a new, even more ambitious goal. Why? Because they feel a compulsive need to continuously prove themselves as winners over and over and over again. This is precisely why people who gain fame, wealth, or glory rarely, if ever, stop. The recognition they receive is never enough. They feel compelled to protect their hard-won titles by immediately joining new games and conquering new challenges. Thus, finite games can be repeated many times, one after another, in a seemingly endless succession. But as long as victory and results remain the ultimate goal, the players can never truly escape the tragedy of being trapped in an endless, often absurd, cycle of repetition. In stark contrast, infinite games cannot be repeated because they have no end. The participants of an infinite game experience it only once as a single, continuous, and evolving journey. Because of this, they give their all to the process, transforming the game itself into something that is truly meaningful, deeply personal, and ultimately fulfilling. From the moment you were born, you were automatically enrolled as a player in the finite game, a world governed by pre-established rules. These rules were not of our making. They are the legacy left behind by the winners of previous generations, sometimes many generations before us. In a way, our participation feels forced. We are born into this game without a choice. And yet, at the same time, it's as if we ourselves willingly chose to step onto this competitive stage. This duality can be understood through two perspectives: passive participation and active participation. Passive participation is the idea that we were born without any say in the matter. We couldn't choose our family, our social standing, or the country we would call home. From our first breath, we were guided, shaped, and molded to become a suitable player in society's grand game. This social training erects frameworks designed to turn us into standardized participants, all following the same essential playbook. Active participation, on the other hand, delves into a more philosophical and profound territory. There's a belief that before birth, we ourselves selected the family we would be born into. We previewed the script of our life and willingly embarked on a journey filled with karmic challenges and lessons. This perspective is captured in the saying, "Each person is born already carrying their own karma." It suggests our presence here is a deliberate act of the soul, a conscious choice to engage with a specific set of circumstances. Furthermore, once we develop self-awareness and the ability to choose, our entry into the finite game becomes an undeniably intentional decision. We choose a career path. We shape the person we aspire to be. We decide exactly how we will play the game. In any finite game, a player must possess certain qualifications and be granted permission to join. For instance, when you decide to become a doctor, you are consciously choosing to enter the finite game of medicine. You understand clearly that this role comes with specific rules, responsibilities, and conditions. You must study, pass rigorous exams, and earn the necessary certifications. Actively entering this game means you not only accept its rules but also commit to performing your role exceptionally well within its boundaries. The competition then becomes about who can perform better and who can sustain their qualifications as a player for the longest time. By contrast, players of the infinite game operate under a completely different set of principles. They don't need anyone's permission to play. They don't need to seek out credentials or wait for approval. They are free to participate simply because they choose to. So, what is the point of understanding this distinction? It is to realize that whether your journey in the finite game has been passive or active, there is always another choice available to you, the infinite game. Kevin Kelly, the author referenced in the book, Finite and Infinite Games, shared a powerful insight. The distinction between the two types of games helped me eliminate all hesitation about what to do next. This statement holds a profound truth. Once you stop hesitating, once you are no longer uncertain about your next move, you can begin playing the infinite game. To illustrate, even a simply everyday task, like washing dishes, can become an infinite game. It's not about washing dishes endlessly without a finish line. The difference lies entirely in your mindset. If you think to yourself, "I have to finish these dishes quickly so I can go watch TV," then washing dishes is a finite game. It has a clear end goal, and the task itself is just a means to an end. But if you think, "Washing dishes is fun, I am fully present and enjoying the act of washing dishes," then it transforms into an infinite game. The purpose is no longer to finish, but to continue the joyful experience of the act itself. Therefore, the real issue may not be the event we are facing, but the mindset we adopt when we enter the game, and the role we choose to assume within it. As Kevin Kelly so wisely advised, always choose the infinite game. It's that simple. Welcome back to the channel. Today, in our final part of this series, we're going to ask a very direct question. Are you a winner or a loser? Now, before you click away, this isn't about judgment. It's It's about understanding the game we're all playing. In the book that inspired this series, the author makes a powerful point. Finite games always create winners and losers. Think about it. A finite game has clear boundaries, rules, and most importantly, it requires an audience. The rules are usually set by the winners of past generations. And the audience, well, that's mostly made up of everyone who didn't win. Since they were defeated, they have to live within the framework created by the victors. But why do winners need both rules and an audience? It's actually quite simple. The rules are the tools they use to protect the titles and positions their ancestors fought for. It's a very human, self-centered instinct to want to preserve power and reputation for your family line. These rules ensure that the children of winners can keep winning. And the audience, they are absolutely essential. Without spectators, what's the point of a victory? A title with no one to recognize it is meaningless. Imagine climbing the highest mountain, but there's no one to see you at the top, no one to tell the story. That kind of victory would feel empty, almost like a defeat. There's a fascinating book that once debated whether we should shut down all universities. Many people were horrified by the idea. Why? Because titles like professor, dean, or department head are incredibly important to them. If the universities disappeared, so would their titles. These are the classic signs of people playing a finite game. They fight to preserve the recognition of their titles because those titles bring power and wealth. But the real value of that power and wealth is in showing it off to an audience, to make their titles even more valuable. Winners encourage everyone to compete. The more people fighting for the same prize, the more prestigious it becomes to win it. It's a brilliant strategy. Winners don't just protect their status, they actively elevate it in the eyes of society by fueling the competition. But there's another way to live. This is the way of the infinite game player. These people have no desire to be winners. They aren't chasing immortality or trying to preserve a fancy title. They simply see themselves as participants in the grand, ongoing process of life. In the infinite game, there are no winners or losers, because everyone is the genius of their own life. How is this possible? Because the infinite game doesn't have fixed rules. It only has perspectives. Every single person has their own unique point of view, and no one knows how far or wide that perspective can reach. In this game, you are the author of your own life story. You aren't bound by rigid rules. What you create is completely and truly your own not a repeat of the past or a copy of someone else's formula for success. Think of Picasso. The art he created had never existed before him, and no one can ever truly replicate his genius. Think of the ancient philosopher Lao Tzu. His wisdom was unique to him, and its light has never faded. Their work transcends time and space, constantly evolving and inspiring new generations. That is the mark of an infinite player. Of course, even infinite players have to exist in the real world, which is full of finite games. Leonardo da Vinci opened galleries to sell his art and make a living. The great sage Confucius even tried his hand at being a government official. But here's the key. They never got lost in those finite games. If someone asked Da Vinci to paint, he painted. If no one asked, he didn't. He could be designing military fortresses one day and studying the tongue of a woodpecker the next. He lived in a state of complete freedom. This is the attitude of an infinite player. They simply are interested in the rules and titles that define finite games. So, let's bring it back to that initial question. Over the course of your one precious life, does it truly matter if you are labeled a winner or a loser? Do you really need an audience to validate what you do? Let's get personal for a moment. I want you to ask yourself some honest questions. Do you go to university to genuinely expand your mind? Or is it just about getting that degree to land a prestigious job? Do you work for the passion and the value you create? Or is it mostly for the money and the recognition? Are you starting that YouTube channel to share something you truly love? Or is the secret goal to become famous? Do you love someone for who they are, or because you crave the security of being loved back and acknowledged as a partner? When you post a picture online, is it for the joy of sharing a moment, or is it for the rush of getting likes? Do you meditate, eat healthy, or practice spirituality to connect with yourself on a deeper level? Or is it just another tool to attract wealth, health, and success? Are you on a spiritual path to return to your true self? Or are you just chasing another finite goal, like reaching nirvana? These questions aren't here to make you feel bad. They are here to help you look deeper into your own motivations, to help you see the purpose behind your participation in the game of life. Are the things you do flowing from a place of joy, creativity, and authenticity deep within you? Or are they really just a series of moves designed to win a prize, to earn the applause of an audience? Because the moment your motivation is fixed on a final destination, the moment you find yourself looking for an audience to watch you on your stage, no matter what you're redoing, no matter how noble it seems, you are still choosing to play a finite game. You are still caught in the loop of winners and losers. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through these ideas. I hope it's given you something valuable to think about. If you enjoyed this series, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more content like this. We'll see you in the next one. A key trait of players in a finite game is their possession of power. When you become a lecturer, a department head, or a business owner, you are granted the rights and privileges associated with that title. However, power is not for everyone. It belongs only to those who win the game. It is a prize reserved for the few, distributed through competition, often by surpassing or pushing others aside. This power is limited not just in who holds it, but also in its scope. The extent of a finite player's authority is always confined by laws, rules, and the very framework of the game they are playing. Within these boundaries, they might enjoy a certain degree of freedom. But for those with little or no power, their only option is obedience, which restricts their freedom even further. In stark contrast, the infinite game offers something different, not power, but strength. This strength is not constrained by external rules or titles. Infinite players don't need to compete with others or chase achievements to possess it. Their strength is rooted in freedom itself, even when faced with extreme limitations. Consider Viktor Frankl in *Man's Search for Meaning*. Though he was stripped of all freedom and imprisoned in a concentration camp, he retained an inner liberty. That freedom became his strength, a force that guided him through the darkest of times and throughout the rest of his life. Unlike power, strength is not built on competition or compelling others to submit. It is an internal force that creates space for others to act as they wish, rather than forcing them to follow your will. In a finite game, power can bring social recognition and the freedom to act on one's desires. Yet, no matter how great that power is, it remains bound by rules, competition, and its own inherent limits. Most importantly, it is always held by a small minority. Strength, on the other hand, is different. It is accessible to anyone who chooses to participate in the infinite game. This fundamental difference is one of the greatest distinctions between the two types of games. From the very moment of birth, each of us is already a blend of both the finite and the infinite game. Since the day you came into this world, you have always had the choice between the two. That is why, within us, there is a constant conflict between living by a script and creating a legend. Those who participate in the finite game are, in truth, simply living a life that unfolds according to a pre-written script, like a play with a clear beginning, development, and ending. But those who play the infinite game live without a script at all. Have you ever thought of taking a trip on a whim, just saying, "Let's go," and going? That is the spirit of the legendary. But at the same time, you are also expected to follow the script of life, preparing for exams, graduating, getting married, buying a house, paying off a mortgage, and so on. Finite games can certainly have elements of the legendary, but only temporarily. Every player in the finite game seeks to achieve the best possible outcome, to carve out their own legend within the defined rules. Everyone wants to become someone talented and wise, able to predict every move of the game. They strive to eliminate uncertainty, to secure stability and safety for themselves. But those patterned, repetitive actions relying on what has already been proven are nothing more than following a script. Why is it that most people unconsciously live according to such scripts? It is because we are born into a society that itself longs for immortality. Society is a finite game. It craves replication, producing generation after generation of people molded after those who came before. Society seeks permanence and an unchanging order. It wishes to elevate winners, enshrining them in temples for the masses to worship, so that people of all ages will remain eternal spectators. Society does not like disruption. It does not like you creating uncertainty. And what creates disruption? What births the legendary? Art and creativity. One way society maintains its version of success is by assigning artists a position, a price tag, and an investment value, thereby turning art into a form of consumption. The world's largest art collections and top museums all come from the wealthy, elite, or governments. For example, all the great museums in New York are tied to powerful families like Carnegie, Frick, and Rockefeller. But these museums were not created to protect art from destruction by the people. Rather, they serve to separate people from art itself. Chills. Isn't it? We live in a society where access to art is restricted, even though, by nature, every one of us is an artist of our own life. We once carried within us pure, unbridled creativity. We once painted life with the vibrant colors of nature. We once felt beauty in the simple play of light and shadow, in our own breath, in the earth and the sky. But over time, we have forgotten. Instead of coloring life with the brushstrokes of freedom, we choose the monotonous gray hues of office buildings. Instead of cherishing the innocent, imaginative drawings of our childhood, we hang diplomas and medals on the wall, symbols of limited, finite victories. We once created paintings, poems, handwritten lines full of raw emotion, or clumsy handmade crafts filled with love. Yet, the moment we began to ask, how much can I sell this for? The moment value became measured by profit, the artist within us gave way to the capitalist. Creativity, which was once meant to liberate the bound soul, became shackled by titles and numbers. Remember, this creativity is not just for tangible achievements, it is for living true to your pure. Innate freedom. You do not need to be a recognized genius or a socially acknowledged success to find meaning in creativity. You are already a genius of your own life, and that alone is more than enough. Sometimes, simply creating something for no reason other than the joy, the passion, and the steady flame it ignites within awakens the most innocent and authentic part of yourself. Life, after all, is not a finite commercial product. It is an infinite work of art, and you are the only one with the right to paint it, not for the eyes of others, not for society's approval, but because you wish to live a life full of color. So never forget, the artist within you is always there, waiting for you to let it speak. They suffer because they are haunted by the past. If you win an award, you feel the need to win again, fearing the loss of what you've already achieved. You become consumed by the recognition and evaluation of others, living under immense pressure. When Einstein won the Nobel Prize and was celebrated globally, people advised him, stop now. Don't pursue any more research, because if you fail, your reputation will be ruined. But Einstein was indifferent to fame. He continued his exploration, playing his own infinite game. This is why infinite players can let the past remain in the past, while finite players cling to it, wishing it never ended. If your sole motivation for success is to surpass your previous achievements, the truth is, the more you chase success, the more you will experience failure. Be like nature. Allow yourself to forget what has already happened. It no longer matters, because it is over. Each day presents a new possibility. This isn't about denying or escaping the past, but rather recreating it through your own creativity. Remember this. The audience has already forgotten us. All you need to remember is that you possess the freedom to play your game. You can quit your job and travel immediately, or become a poet, a writer, whatever you choose. You have the right to select your game, and you also have the right not to participate in any game at all. This is the freedom of choice, as long as you are not driven by any ulterior motive. Let me repeat this one more time. You must believe that you are your own genius. There is no formula to nurture genius. A child doesn't automatically become one. Genius arises from a genuine touch. It happens when you start from your own unique talents and passions, responding with a wholehearted, consistent, and creative spirit. That is the true touch. This stands in stark contrast to being driven. Being driven means heading toward a predetermined, staged destination. It's a performance, but a touch is different. It brings surprise, wonder, and profound immersion. Perhaps in this very moment, as I share with complete focus and you listen with full attention, we are experiencing that touch. Why is it so difficult for us to focus and experience such moments? It's because when we play the finite game, we exhaust our time with worry, consumption, and the feeling of running out of it. Everything becomes a means to an end, a defense against an unpredictable future. Reflect on this sentence, because it is crucial. The purpose of work is not merely to provide for your family, earn more money, or pass the time. It is to create new possibilities. For finite players, freedom is a variable of time. They must have time in order to be free. But for infinite players, time is a variable of freedom. They are free to own their time. When you become an infinite player, you will use every moment to engage in many finite games. But you won't need a script. You are not a serious actor bound to a role, but a joyful, creative artist. An infinite player can be a spectator of any game, but while watching, they understand. I'm only observing, not deeply entangled. And in such a game, there is no end. A final sentence in the book leaves a deep impression. There is only one infinite game in this world. If finite games are not truly real, then when you are engrossed in them, are you merely living in a virtual world of your own creation? My answer to this question, if it is yes, will surely be imperfect and perhaps unsuitable for you. I hope you can find your own answer. What is the true infinite game? Do not hesitate to share your thoughts in the comments after listening to this complex and profound book. Reading is not just about listening. It's about challenging yourself to step outside your comfort zone. Only when we reach the edge of our knowledge can we realize there are other ways of seeing the world, enabling us to live with wiser, more powerful choices. Thank you for listening. If you found this video helpful, please share it with those who may need it. Don't forget to give it a like, hit the subscribe button, and turn on the notification bell to catch the latest videos each week. Once again, thank you, and I will see you in the next video.